Greetings all, this is Justinian the Great, with Sam the Car Guy, and welcome to my Let's Play of Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. Today we are going to be starting the third world.
The third member of the Fiendish Five was the infamous voodoo priestess, Ms. Ruby. Born into a family of mystics, other children found her scary. Teaching herself to summon the undead provided what few friends she had. A career in crime allowed an adult Ms. Ruby to punish the world for fearing her as a child. Chief mystic for the Fiendish Five, her powers allowed them to break both the laws of man and nature at the same time. Yet despite the whirlwind success of her youth, she managed to slip into obscurity. Last known sightings claim she headed out of civilization and deep into the Haitian jungle.
This is voodoo.
Yeah, this is one episode that I really love the design of.
Absolutely. It's a really nice level, and it's perfect aesthetic for this.
But this is one mission you will have to accomplish without me.
You don't believe in ghosts, do you?
Sure I do. My scanners have picked up verifiable paranormal activity. But that's not the problem. This swamp is oozing with disgusting mold and bacteria.
Suck it up, Bentley. We got work to do.
All right then. Don't forget to use the new move you learned from Mugshot's section of the Thievius Raccoonus.
You mean the raccoon rail walk?
The roots and vines around here are perfect for that. All you gotta do is
Jump and hit the circle button.
especially where you see the bark has been worn away, and where it's super slick from icky slime and moss, you'll rail slide like a skater grinding pipe.
I'm liking it.
Still
Yeah,
think
so
it's weird.
What's that?
I still think it's weird that he's like, jump and hit the circle button.
Yeah. I was playing this game the other day. It was called Ukulele. All right, and in that game there's all kinds of acknowledgments that it's an actual game, that you're actually playing a game. Like the characters are even aware of it.
That's some Deadpool level of gameplay right there.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, this introduces probably my favorite of the moves, favorite of the Sly Cooper moves, like the rail slide and rail walk, but also introduces probably some of the most annoying enemies in the entire game.
Yes.
The
My least favorite enemy of this entire game is actually coming up soon.
The big one, huh?
Oh yeah.
I find the mosquitoes and the spiders to be kind of annoying.
I would much rather deal with them than the
Well, it's not as much the spiders, but rather the placement of the spiders.
yeah.
Because sometimes you can't always get to them before they attack you on the actual rail while actually walking along the vine. This is the enemy you're talking about.
Well, no, that one I don't have a problem with. That's actually a really neat monster. I also love the music in this level.
It's very fitting.
Just listen to it for a second. It's just perfect.
Yes, it is. I will say that I jumped around those guys to get a horseshoe, and then got damaged anyway. I'm kind of glad that I did get the horseshoe.
We'll say, though, that it is annoying if the head pops off and then it still attacks you. That is definitely a pain. But it's a really neat monster.
Actually, it takes 3 hits to actually kill it.
Yeah. And that's kind of close to what the later games became, too, is
Yes.
multiple hit monsters. Or enemies. What is this guy doing? It's like he doesn't know what he's... I love
job
the
is.
flashlights, though. Just a giant skull with a light in it.
I think so.
That's Miss Ruby's lair. To get in, you'll need that key on top of the tiki pedestal in the guard compound. There's a bad mojo force field protecting it, so you'll have to destroy all 5 of the purple candles surrounding it.
No problem.
Don't get cocky or you'll end up with your head shrunk to the size of a pea. You've got to get past those voodoo guards, and I'm warning you, they're mean and they work like a team.
So do we, buddy.
Boy.
It's weird the sketty alligator is. Ooh, sketty, y'all. I see you're using your favorite technique.
Yeah, and that actually didn't end up working out as well as I had planned. You'll see why in a second. I was gonna say something a second ago, but I forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, that one missed.
At least
But
you
at
got
least
the candle that you're supposed to get.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad that in later games they replaced this with Bentley's actual bombs.
Yes. Yes. This is where I messed up.
Yeah, you got caught. Now you're getting shot at by the voodoo monsters.
Yeah, and I kinda got lucky there because they wasted my last lucky charm. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. Do you remember? I will say this. Like, I think the soundtrack of the first game is underrated. Like, a lot of people like the soundtrack from 2, 3, and 4, and I don't blame them. It's a very good soundtrack, but I still think this soundtrack is very good.
You know, I like the music from the other games, but it didn't really do anything for me. The only song that really ever I would intentionally just go hang out in the level for the music was this level.
Press the circle to enter the
Actually, that was me with the Paris level from Sly 2.
my math right, and I always do.
I enjoyed the Paris level, but not for...
588.
The music.
Yeah.
I liked the music in that one, but not as much. I like the music in that one. But I think it was the overall atmosphere.
Yeah.
That the music the music was part of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
But
Harness the electromagnetic field created by a rolling raccoon. Now your raccoon
we could talk over this. I'm okay with that.
Plus, it should give you
Okay.
a nice tingling sensation.
I still think
But-
we probably shouldn't, just because of voice. 2 people talking, Bentley and us, might be hard to hear what anyone's saying.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, let's
Now
see.
remind me, how do you cycle through to choose which power-up you want to use?
L2 and R2. Now,
Okay.
interesting thing. I don't know if you've ever, but
You've done it. The mojo
I could bring up 2 things here.
steal the key.
And I think I'd like to bring up 2 things in this episode.
Okay.
But since there is going to be a little bit of a conversation, or since Ms. Ruby's going to have some dialogue in a second, I don't quite want to start both of them yet. But anyway, in the, believe it or not, because the Vita version doesn't have L2 and R2, they use the back touchpad. You just slid your hand across the back touchpad to change them.
Okay. The swarm's dark center.
My paranormal scanner is maxing out on that structure.
A reading like that could only be coming off Ms. Ruby herself.
I think you're right, Sly. If you want to crack at Ms. Ruby, you're going to have to find a way inside that skull temple.
Wake up, you lazy bags of swamp
Miss Ruby's voice is... I don't know the best way to say it. It's like they tried to make her from New Orleans, but they had a very California approach to what they thought New Orleans was.
Yes.
And it's like oh, you just screwed the pooch on that one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, if you noticed, I went over to that one level and realized, nope, not doing that yet.
Which one? I forgot what level it was. I did see that you went over to it, and then you were like, nah, fam.
Lair of the Beast.
Oh, yeah, no, I think that's my least favorite.
I actually kind of enjoyed it, except that's where all of my deaths were. Except one little thing. I didn't die in the place you'd think I did. This is a very enjoyable minigame. Well, not enjoyable, but better than the crab.
Sly, the only way to open up that voodoo gate is by lighting all 25 tiki torches with the flamethrower on your swamp skiff. Use the left analog stick to steer and press the X button to fire the flamethrower. Oh, and one more thing. You need fuel from the flamethrower, and the only source of oil are those piranha you see swimming around. Run them down with a boat. One fish fuels one shot. Hurry! You only have 2 minutes to get all the torches lit.
The frustrating part of this was running down the piranha.
The lock does not like piranhas.
Believe it or not, I got this on the first try, which was surprising to me. I thought this was going to take multiple attempts, but I got it. Anyway, here's something funny, okay? All right. At least I thought it was interesting. Maybe it's not to you, but do you know what the last official release in the Sly series was?
It wasn't Sly 4. I think they had something else that they released.
Well, the last official Sly Cooper release was in 2014, and it was the Sly Cooper collection on Vita.
Okay.
And do you know, the funny thing is, do you know just how many series, like, actually found their end on that particular console?
Any what?
How many video game series, franchises, actually found their last release, or close to last release, on the Vita?
Every single game that was put on Vita.
Not quite.
Because when you go to Vita, that's when you know you're desperate, because you end up bankrupting yourself because you went to Vita. Probably just annoyed all your Vita fans, but it's worth it.
Well, alright, so let me just say this. Sony was really trying with the Vita for the first couple years. Then in 2014, they decided that it was indeed that they didn't exactly have the money for it. But so there's my response to that. I'm talking about like Sony exclusive franchises.
Oh, okay.
Not like third parties, but like PlayStation exclusive franchises. The Sly Collection was the last release in the Sly series. If I'm not mistaken, the Jack and Daxter Collection, no, that doesn't count because technically they were HD remasters on PS4. Sorry. But the Resistance series, which was a PlayStation 3 exclusive series, actually had its final release on Vita. Killzone Mercenary was the second to last Killzone game, and the last one was released the same year as that. Unit 13 was the last game made by Zipper Interactive, who made the SOCOM series, which was pretty big on the PS2. It was a pretty big series on the PS2, and it was more or less just like Unit 13 was more or less just like a SOCOM game. But Zipper Interactive shut down the week after making Unit 13.
Sly, you'd better be on your guard here. My paranormal scanners show this place is really haunted.
Uncharted Golden Abyss was actually, it wasn't the last Uncharted game, but it was actually the last Uncharted game to feature the original creator of Uncharted in a credited role.
When you smash that
And
the ghost stopped coming. It must be some kind of ghost generator. Maybe if you smash them all, you'd be safe.
the last releases of Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, as well as the last releases of God of War 1 and 2 were actually also in the HD collections on the Vita. I just thought it was neat how many franchises actually had their end or next to end on the Vita. And I think it was actually sort of my commentary on that is that it wasn't that the Vita was bad, but it was because the Vita was the end of old Sony and sort of the beginning of new Sony. Sorry if I went on a rant there.
The ghosts. Look at their face.
Yeah. But
It's kind of
okay.
like, it almost kind of looks like what Disney used to make the Japanese like back when they were the what do they call it now, the racist Disney or whatever.
Maybe. They actually kind of look like cats.
I have no idea, but it's really funny having a mob of them chase you around like that.
Yeah, yeah. I guess what I guess what I meant by I did mention, you know, you weren't interested in getting a PlayStation 4, and I thought that was you know, that idea might have been interesting to you, like the beginning of like the end of old Sony, the beginning of new, because Sony has abandoned making actually fun games and has started just making cinematic games.
The whole reason I got away from enjoying the PlayStations and won't buy a 4 is because they got rid of free online. That was a dick move that they did just to try to increase their money. I don't like Xbox because they force you to buy online. The nice thing about the PlayStation 3 is it was free to play online, so you got to enjoy it if you couldn't, say, afford to spend whatever the amount is every month.
Yeah, yeah.
And though I could probably afford to spend it every month, that doesn't mean I want to spend it every month. I'd rather spend my money on more important things like cars or going and actually doing things with friends in person.
Yeah. I could agree there. I mean, you do get free games, but if I'm being honest with you, I only ever redeemed one free game since I got it. And I honestly don't have it anymore.
Free games are not that good. There's a reason they're free.
Actually, some of them these days are actually pretty damn good. It's just that I'm not interested in any of the ones that they're actually offering for free.
Like I said, they're free, therefore there's really nothing worth playing about it. If it was a good game that you wanted to play, it wouldn't be free.
Funny thing is, the only ones that I would have actually been interested in, I already owned. Like, they offered Shadow of the Tomb Raider 1 month, which I actually already had, and they offered Final Fantasy VII Remake, like, the next month, and both of which I was actually interested in, but I already owned.
Can we talk about how a few seconds ago you just had your rear end handed to you by a ghost?
Yeah, we could talk about that if you want.
Hey, look, it's like being in South Mississippi again with all those mosquitoes.
Yeah, right now it's like that with love bugs.
Oh yeah, it's love bug season, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the hurricane kind of brought it here. Oh, by the way, if you run away from the ghosts long enough, they'll go away. If you run far away far enough away from their tombstone, they'll run away.
Sounds like my ex.
Do you technically have an ex?
Don't ruin my bit.
Okay.
Man, they're everywhere now. I like how Miss Ruby's idea is, let me make a bunch of ghosts to protect a key.
Yeah. And, you know, she wants to overrun the world with the undead.
Yeah, and her
By the
first
way,
plan is to take over Mexico by next week.
Oh, by the way, I missed a clue here, and I'm just trying to figure out what the hell happened. And this is me trying to go back and find the clue.
The real question is, how far away did you actually miss the clue?
One funny thing is I ran actually all the way back to the beginning of the level.
And still couldn't find it?
It was actually close. I ran all the way back to the beginning of the level just to find out I was pretty damn close to where the
Remember
clue
how
was.
before we started recording you were talking about people
Yes.
who forget their class? That's what you
Well,
just did.
believe it
here.
or not, I actually just looked back at the video to see, and it's actually not that easy to miss this one. Like I was looking just a second ago. Oh, by the way, the filter, like instead I used a different filter instead of black and white.
You're still trying to
Anyway.
find this thing.
Yeah, well, it's right there.
You said that isn't an easy one to miss, or it is an easy one to miss?
It isn't an easy one to miss, because if you look at the camera angles that I had, if you look back on the video at the camera angles, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's easy to miss. It is easy to miss. It's not
Okay.
easy to actually see like on your first run.
Okay, because that's what I was trying to figure out, because you said it's not easy to miss. So if it's not easy to miss and you missed it, that's going to make everybody and your viewers question your sanity.
I said it's not hard to miss.
There you go. I think you chose some interesting words to
It
say it.
isn't hard to miss.
Yes, that's the way to say it. Yes.
Sorry if I said it in a different way either before. And
No,
by
that's
the
me a
way,
little bit.
A more modern entry. Bruce O'Coop's computer hacking technique. Using the data on this page, I should be able to tap the duty roster at each hideout and project guard information into your binocucom.
Now we're going to learn something about some guards.
this will be one of our bonus episodes.
Nice.
I'm going to go through and look at every type of guard in the binocucom.
I really want to learn about Steve.
Yes, and learn everything, and learn about everything about every single individual guard in, or at least enemy type in the game.
This is Steve. He has mommy issues, and that's why he works for Ms. Ruby.
Oh, by the way, I came back just to look at this because I noticed I missed it before the beginning of the episode.
Murray playing on a PlayStation?
In fact, that's exactly what that is. A PlayStation. I don't know if you ever seen one of those additional screens to like the PlayStation. Like for the PS1, they had this little hookup, that screen attachment to the top of it. It looked just like that, actually.
I mean, that's what a lot of these old games used to do. Was have their old systems. Like one of your favorite YouTubers DGA and Nesco had the Banjo-Kazooie series,
Uh-huh.
and when they were going through it, they had Banjo playing on an old Nintendo, because the game was originally made for, Nintendo 64.
Yes. Believe it or not, okay, there's a part in Uncharted 4, okay, which is made by, there's a reason why I'm mentioning this, made by a developer named Naughty Dog. Believe it or not, Naughty Dog's first major franchise was Crash Bandicoot, alright? There's a part in Uncharted 4 where the two main characters, Nathan Drake and Elena Fisher, are sitting on a couch. They're married, by the way. And Elena is trying to get Nate to play Crash Bandicoot, and you actually get to play Crash Bandicoot in this brand new game. Like, original PS1 Crash Bandicoot in this, like, 2016 game.
It's neat that he did a tribute back to one of his original games.
Yes. It's definitely a very big appreciation to the history, which is very much uncommon for Sony these days.
That's because Sony is just a cash grab at this point.
Believe it or not, like the guy who owns Sony is notorious for having a rather irreverent attitude towards their older games. So it's kind of you know what? That's why I was saying, like, the old and new Sony, like, they stopped making, like, Sly Cooper, and they specifically focused on making these big cinematic game experiences where it was like, it's all like a serious movie now.
You know what they say, don't forget your roots, and Sony has forgotten their roots. And
I believe
it
so.
shows. There's not a lot of modern Sony that I truly enjoy. Back when my childhood, there was a lot of Sony that was enjoyable.
Yeah. Honestly, I can't... Yeah, I think the last exclusive they actually made that I actually liked was Final Fantasy... Actually, they didn't even make Final Fantasy VII Remake. Actually, Square Enix made that. They just had a deal with Sony for limited exclusivity.
Yeah.
So Sony didn't even actually make that.
We should probably let your viewers go since the episode has seemed to end.
Yeah. I thought that was a nice conclusion to the Sony I thought we would give a nice conclusion to the Sony conversation, though, which that was a nice conclusion. So
we can pick it up in the next one as well.
Yeah, we could. Anyway, this is Justini and the Great, and Sam the Car Guy, signing off.
Don't touch my duct tape.